We are full of concepts and we think we're living, but we're really conceptualizing.
Sea change when you go from being in your mind to being in your heart.
And the Course of Love was about discovering our true identity.
Welcome everyone to our show, Heart to Heart, how our Course of Love is changing our lives. And my name is Lynn Kidd. I'll be your host today. And we're going to give you a little bit of a touch of Course of Love and have our guest here share how she's transforming her life with the Course of Love and how she's integrating it into her daily life. And so I would love to welcome right now our guest for today, Christina Strutt.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Just wanted to maybe start off, if you can give our viewers a little bit about your personal journey before you came into A Course of Love, mm-hmm. and then we can talk about how you discovered A Course of Love too.
Actually, the first thing I want to say is when you said, how I'm transforming my life, I want to say it's like A Course of Love grabs a hold of me and does things, you know. It's like the minute you say you're willing, the minute I say I'm willing, it's like boom, you know. So it's like being caught up in a movement. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And we're in it, you know, every day. Anyway, so you'd asked about personal journey before, where I was born and stuff. So I was born in Malaysia, mm-hmm. Grew up in Singapore. So my parents, I guess they got married in 1948 and shortly after World War II. So they had been living under Japanese occupation in that part of the world. So my brother arrived first, I came a bit later. So it was kind of tough times, you know, in terms of money and food and things like that. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing I think that I want to say is that my background-wise, my father was Church of England, but my mother was Christian Scientist. So my maternal grandfather had...
I love Christian Science.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I mean, so it was like, he was Methodist, I think, but heard a lecture, and then he took his whole family to the Christian Science Church. So when I came across the Course of Miracles and the Course of Love, it wasn't alien, you know? Mm-hmm. It was like the metaphysical was already kind of in me. My father was also a master yogi. We did yoga from the time I can remember as a child. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, and I went to England to do computer science. It's where I met my husband at college, and ended up living and working in England for a while, and then moved here to the US, to the Boston area, almost 40 years ago. Actually, it is 40 years this year. 1980 we moved here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So I've been around a little bit.
40-year anniversary.
Yeah. So 30 years in high tech as a software and systems engineer. Mm-hmm. So I guess the pattern that's kind of important I'd like people to hear about is that even though the content was engineering, you know, and very concrete, and then other things like systems processes and groups and organizational structures, things like that, the thing that has been consistent through my life has been feeling and knowing and almost seeing the spaces in between everything. And that's what systems thinking is about, to be able to take your focus off the pieces of what's in each pigeonhole, if you like, mm-hmm. and looking at the whole framework, not losing sight of any pigeonhole you want to go into, but seeing the framework, seeing the container for the whole thing. Oh yes, married, Colin, we've been married a long time. And so we have 2 sons and 2 granddaughters, 2 beautiful granddaughters. I have 2 daughters, so my son's partners, I consider them my daughters. So 2 sons, 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and a granddaughter. So we're good.
You're good. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Where, you know, it's seeing the spatial relationship between everything. That's what I'm hearing, that systems mirror. Yeah, it's like this all expansive connection between it all.
Just not forgetting that there is something in between, and it's the relationship.
And it's the relationship.
That's what systems thinking is about, is remembering that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Because it is the parts and the relationship when 2 or more are gathered. I mean, that's the thing. It's the magic is in the middle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the things are just as important, but the magic is in the middle. And that's always been center and forward for me, and a source of great grief, actually. even as a child, seeing the brutality, the misery, and the cruelty when things could have been so different. And I knew that it was wrong, but I lived in it. And so for a while, I had to, all those things were put aside, but everything has brought me here. So now you asked about where things were when I came across the Course of Love. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but I'm going to show you this picture briefly. So this came out of me like in a matter of 5 minutes about 2 years ago. And it shows my life as a helix, a set of helical spiral. And you'll see a Course of Love showing up about here, I think.
Okay.
Sorry.
You want to put it a little bit closer, just a little bit closer? Yeah, more toward the top, right.
Yeah, there it is. So there's basically six cycles I had down here, and each inward turn is something that pulled me very deep into a depression or very painful experience, and then I came out of it. So before A Course of Love showed up, I'd already quit my corporate job about maybe 6 years earlier. I think it was, no, even longer, 97 I quit, and I came across A Course of Love in 2009. But it was about 6 years earlier that I had this experience, even though I was doing some amazing work researching the phenomenon of collective intelligence and spiritual wisdom. That was like 98 through 2001 or 2. And I was carrying on doing that work. I had this message one morning: quit or die. I just woke up with that message in me. It wasn't a voice I heard or anything, but it was quit or die. There was more to come, which was in 2003. And that was really a deep undoing. And I remember in that time not even being able to read. I was still working with A Course in Miracles, and I just had to stop reading. I couldn't. And was pretty lost. A lot was going on in my life, but I was kind of stopped, and somehow reading John Mundy's magazine, Miracles magazine, one day, I saw this article from Mari, and I was in that kind of place of solitude. She wrote about solitude in her cabin, and she wrote about A Course of Love, of course, but I was really more interested in the solitude and how was she managing that, being a mother and a, grandmother and all that stuff. And anyway, long story short, I wrote to her, and that began many years of email exchanges. And obviously I started reading A Course of Love, and it was in January of 2009. So it's like a little over 11 years ago.
Wow.
And as I started reading, it was like I had found home. It was like coming home.
You gave us your personal journey and discovered 2009, The Course of Love, through John Mundy's Miracles magazine, and you're more interested in Mari and her writing about solitude. That's kind of like what drew you in. Yeah. I think I was very polite when I wrote to her and said, A Course of Love sounds very interesting, but I was really far more interested. It's really more what you're doing in this cabin in solitude.
Right.
Yeah, I can hear you. I had a question just that I was going to ask you, but I wanted to know, was there something like that's really speaking to you right now, like a passage or a line that you wanted to share that's really speaking to your heart that you could share with the reader? Or is this kind of like just a synopsis already of what we've done?
Yeah, no, I did. I thought about that. It came to me immediately, actually, because it's all about freedom. When I said falling in love myself was the big thing. It's so freeing. It's so freeing to just be who I am and say, I'm not saying I do it all the time, but to be able to say how I feel and be who I am without worrying about what other people think of me, or what their response is going to be, being able to let that go, to be the other person's responsibility, how they respond. My responsibility is how I respond.
Right.
And if I'm responding with truth and integrity, that is the best I can give you at any one time. So the bit that I really loved is, I remembered a part, and I looked it up later, but I remembered the bit that said, the abilities of the self of form joined with the self of union will be your confidence. Only these combined abilities will release your power and freedom. And that's in day 9, actually. So it's very early on in the dialogue.
I love that day 9.
Yeah. But you see, the thing for me is, I think one of the, next to the feelings part that A Course of Love gave me, the other thing that A Course of Love has deeply given me back is a true love and appreciation for my body.
Oh, okay.
Now, this
Yeah.
may be a misinterpretation on my part of the way A Course in Miracles goes, but I know I was not valuing the substance, the form of my body, or the form of anything for that matter, as much as I am beginning to do now, and beginning to see and feel in every cell of my body the purity and love that is who we are, the love and light of who we are. In another part of day 9, it talks about what good will be the certainty of unity if the self of form has no confidence in its ability to express it.
Yeah.
Expression of the certainty of unity is what the elevated self of form is all about. Certainty of mind and heart have been realized by many, but the expression of that certainty in form has not.
And I feel like that the body is a way to express that, and that nothing is negated. It's like, you know,
nothing
the
at
form
all.
is part of it,
Right.
and it's a representation. It says in A Course of Love, it's a representation of the truth of who we are. But it's that expression, it's the way that truth from the formless into the form is what the way it relates to me, from the formless to the form, it's expressed. And it's the movement and the expression is in relationship. What I want to ask you is something that comes up frequently when we in a lot of ACOL Zoom groups that I've been in on and off over the last couple of years, is the art of thought, and it's in the it's the art of thought. It's the first treatise. There's a line that's comes up frequently in some of the groups about the art of thought. I just wanted to see if you could share with us how it's speaking to you. It says in the the first treatise, chapter 2, Art of Thought, paragraph 12. It says, all relationship is but relationship between creator and the created. The new means of thinking is referred to here as the art of thought, the art of thought. In order to call your wholehearted attention to the continual act of creation that is the relationship between the creator and the created. And then there's this line that seems to, for lack of better words, sort of stump a lot of people. It says, creation is but a dialogue to which you have not responded. And then it says the art of thought will free you to respond. So I was wondering if you could share what that means for you. Creation is but a dialogue to which you have not responded. And actually that line is also repeated again in the addendum, Learning in the Time of Christ.
But the meaning of it to me, because it's very clear, it's very beautifully described, is really what presence is about. Observance and presence. So, but it breaks out into 4 very simple steps. And once I have practiced with those 4 steps until it's now a matter of one breath and I'm kind of there. But the first step is to be fully present as a human being with all my 5 body senses. You know, what is in front of me to be? So the example they're given in the book, in the Course of Love, is the sunset. But it can be with anything right now here with you. To be fully present. You know, I'm hearing you. I see you. I'm feeling you. Joining in love, heart to heart. It's a tenderness, you know. There's
I love that. It's a tenderness. That's beautiful.
And that's the embrace.
Wow.
You feel that cottony, cloud-like shimmery. Oh my God, I could hug you forever. And I don't need to use arms to do it.
Oh, wow.
That's step 2. Step 3 says to acknowledge the relationship between the 2.
Okay.
So now I'm acknowledging this love affair between the creator and the created, the divine and the human, this power that is love, this relationship, this allness of everything, which is who you are, who I am. If I go back to my Indra's net analogy, this is the net. It's not the piece of net between us, the relationship now, but it's the entire net, all of everything. It is who we are, the multiverse, pure source consciousness. To acknowledge that relationship is everything. And then the fourth is, how do I respond to that? And as a divine human being in relationship, I'm responding with love. And the only time is now. I'm right here with you, and we are the ones. So all of that can be done in one breath. And we're here.
Well, that's beautiful, Christina. Thank you so much. That's like the most beautiful description of the art of thought I've ever heard. And I really felt it. It wasn't just a description. See, that was like a dialogue just there between you and me.
Exactly.
Because I felt whatever you were saying, I felt it.
And
it
that's what...
And it brought like tenderness up into me, and my eyes got like teary for a moment.
Now go with that feeling.
Okay.
And the next thing, which I haven't quite experienced yet, is the creation in form from that place.
Okay.
That's when the miracles happen. That's when miracles happen, not just in our hearts and minds, as has just happened, but in form. That's when the new world will arise in front of us.
Yeah. Creation of the new. As within, so without.
That's what miracles are. You know, that is that love being expressed in form. You know?
Yeah.
And that'll be the end of suffering. That'll be the time of the landing of the new. Heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth.
And the end of suffering.
And the end
all
of
gain
suffering.
And no loss. You know. Laughter without tears. And life everlasting.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Christina. We're out of time, but I am so honored to have you. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful dialogue here with you today. I can't thank you enough for being here and for your time.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Okay. Love you too.